$180 billion per year to tax revenues for Asia-Pacific countries by addressing trade misinvoicing. That's more than 7% of the total tax revenue. Trade misinvoicing happens when export declarations don't match their mirror import declarations due to lack of cross-border transaction data exchange between relevant authorities in different countries. Digitalization of trade procedures can also make trade more sustainable. Our research shows that one single end-to-end transaction undertaken fully digitally could save emissions equivalent to planting 1.5 trees. For the whole of Asia-Pacific, this implies savings of about 13 million tons of CO2 annually, or equivalent to the carbon absorbed by about 400 million trees. In terms of the current state of play, results from the 2023 United Nations Global Survey on Digital and Sustainable Trade Facilitation show continued progress in streamlining trade procedures among our member states. Particularly noteworthy progress is observed in North and Central Asia sub-region, despite significant challenges and disruptions in the supply chains. This reflects ongoing efforts by countries in the region to enhance efficiency through streamlined and digitalized trade processes, including such efforts by the EEC about which we'll be hearing about today. Now, one way to accelerate digital trade facilitation is through the Framework Agreement on Facilitation of Cross-Border Paperless Trade in Asia and the Pacific. This agreement aims to facilitate cross-border paperless trade or data exchange among willing ESCAP member states by providing a dedicated intergovernmental framework to develop legal and technical solutions. It is complementary to the WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement, as well as sub-regional efforts such as by the EEC. Now, among the EAEU members, Kyrgyzstan was the latest to join the framework agreement on the 20th December last year. It joins the Russian Federation, as well as 14 other countries, including China and the Republic of Korea, who either signed or acceded to the framework agreement. We encourage other ESCAP member states to join and take advantage of the benefits offered by the framework agreement. We at ESCAP further stand ready at your service to provide any additional support. Now, the purpose of this event today is to show the progress made by the EAEU in digitalizing various aspects of trade and lessons learned. We have a very high-quality panel with us today, and I look forward to learning more and participating in the discussions.
Recording in progress.
Our first welcoming remarks will be by Mr. Andrei Slepny. He is the member of the board, Minister for Trade, Eurasian Economic Commission. Please play the video.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. I welcome the participants and thank the organizers of our joint side event of the Eurasian Economic Commission and the Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, held on the sidelines of the 80th anniversary session of ESCAP. The theme, Digital Solutions and Opportunities in Regional Trade, is relevant for global trade policy, for economic cooperation, for the UN Development Goals, and is of significant interest to our Eurasian Economic Union. The task of developing digital technologies in trade, taking into account solutions and results achieved at the national level, is enshrined in the Declaration on the further development of the economic processes within the EAEU until 2030 and for the period until 2045, which is entitled the Eurasian Economic Path. It is no exaggeration to say that our union is actively engaged in digital transformation in trade. It is an important element in deepening regional integration, increasing economic efficiency, and global competitiveness. A number of specific topics we are working on include the digitalization of rail freight transportation, a critical component of the region's logistics and infrastructure. In line with the global trend, we are moving towards paperless trade, paying great attention to the digitalization of trade documents, especially in the field of non-tariff regulation, conformity assessment procedures, certification, A huge step has been taken in the development of electronic commerce. We have adjusted and brought to a modern state the Union's customs, tax, technical, and trade regulation in this area. We are actively developing digital labeling, which already today allows tracking the movement of each item of goods and protecting the market from counterfeit products. We are working hard with our free trade partners in the sphere of trade digitalization. Today, my colleagues will present a report on our work in these areas and will be in touch for a discussion with interested international economic organizations, politicians, experts, and representatives of the business community. I am confident that the results of today's discussion will serve to generate new ideas and strategies for promoting digital solutions in regional trade, and ultimately contribute to increasing effectiveness of our efforts in the field of sustainable development. I believe that today's event is the beginning of our mutually beneficial cooperation between the Commission and ESCAP in terms of the fairly broad competence of our trade cluster, and a detailed presentation of which will be made today and will be available to all interested participants. I wish you success in our work and thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much. We have a list of 8 speakers, and we only have just a little bit more than an hour, so appreciate keep it short, and so we have some time for Q&A after that. Our first speaker is Mr. Kanibek Kasemaleulu, who is the Deputy Director of the Trade Policy Department of the EEC.
Thank you very much. Distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to our colleagues from Trade Investment and Innovation Department from UNESCAP for organizing today's joint event. It's my pleasure to represent here the Directorate for Trade of the Eurasian Economic Commission, the regulatory body of the Eurasian Economic Union, with the presentation on digital solutions and opportunities in regional trade, the EAEU Approach. I'll provide insights into the EU digitalization initiatives in trade and transport, emphasizing the advantages, challenges, and future prospects of utilizing digital solutions to enhance regional trade efficiency. Today, I will stress on such key topics as e-certification, FTA's digitalization of railway freight transportation in the EU. Today, the process of development and penetration of digital technologies into our lives is proceeding in an active manner. In this context, and international trade is becoming increasingly digitalized every day. In particularly during COVID-19, countries accelerated the implementation of digital technologies in international trade. Was a kind of catalyst for many countries to achieve a sufficient level of digitalization in the shortest possible time, and has facilitated the active implementation of various custom solutions in international practice, including electronic certificates of origin. Currently, according to a WCO study, not less than 50 countries use electronic certificates of origin in trade. Practical implementation of the authorized bodies of the EU member states of electronic origin certification and verification system, so-called EOCVS, was one of the elements of digitalization carried out in the Eurasian Economic Union in foreign trade and customs administration. As you may know, EOCVS is a system for the e-data exchange of certificates of origin between issuing authorized bodies and customs authorities within the FTAs between EU and the third countries. EOCVS simplifies the procedure of documentary proof of origin for receiving tariff preferences through the elimination of paper-based certificates. The implementation of such systems is carried out through signing a separate protocol with an FTA partner, setting out the technical specifications for the electronic data exchange on preferential certificates of origin. The ambitions to develop and implement EOCVS are reflected in free trade agreements currently in force for the EU, as well as in those on which the Union is still under negotiations. EOCVS provides for two methods of information exchange using so-called push technology for issued and sent, or on the basis of a request scenario, like a request response. The information exchange between the participants is carried out through the use of secure communication channels. Only the participants of the exchange process have access to the transmitted information. In order to verify the certificates of origins, customs authorities interact with the secure digital storage containing necessary information. The implementation of EOCVS is aimed at reducing the administrative and financial burden on business through simplifying the customs administration processes and promoting the further development of electronic customs declaration. In this area, we are particularly guided by the analysis carried out by our distinguished colleagues from ESCAP. According to a study published in 2023, the switch to a similar electronic system called Electronic Origin Data Exchange System in preferential trade between the Republic of Korea and People's Republic of China resulted in a 50% increase in business requests for certificates. An impressive figure, which is only one example of the impact of modern digital technology on global trade. We're close to launching EOCVS with Vietnamese partners. Soon we'll offer our colleagues from Serbia and Iran to work on similar systems. Once we sign a free trade agreement with Indonesia, we hope it will be this year. We will invite Jakarta also to work in this direction. Authorized bodies of the EU member states are developing and implementing electronic databases on the internet containing data on issued COs. Such database shall provide an opportunity to verify the fact of certificate issuance as well as access to the data in such certificate. As contrast to EOCVS, the access to such a data is not restricted and allows verification of CO to any involved person. It may be a seller, buyer, carrier, customs officer, etc., who has the requisites of such a document. Electronic databases are also a useful tool for non-preferential trade, and they can be implemented unilaterally. Digital solutions mentioned above are a significant step in the EU's path for the introduction of full-scale electronic goods declaring and simplifying customs administration. The Eurasian Economic Commission constantly analyzes and implements international practices in utilizing modern digital technologies in trade in order to improve customs administration and address international trade challenges. As the Union, we are dedicated to strengthen the cooperation on these areas and willing to undertake ambitious projects in this field with partner countries in the Asia-Pacific region. FTAs are becoming one of the key elements in increasing trade turnover and integrating the Eurasian Economic Union into global trade. The Union already has free trade agreements with Vietnam, Serbia, and Iran, an agreement on trade, economic, and cooperation with China. Negotiations on free trade agreements with Egypt, Indonesia, and the United Arab Emirates are currently underway, and the negotiation process with India is intensifying. In our negotiation efforts, we aim to incorporate world's best practices into our agreements and establish instruments for sectoral cooperation in areas aligned with the country's economic development perspectives. This includes the potential for offering preference for priority investment projects. I'd like to emphasize the development of cooperation with trading partners in the field of e-commerce. Currently, arrangements in the field of e-commerce are contained in the agreement with Vietnam, China, and Serbia. The main issues are related to the protection of consumer rights, personal data, transparency of e-commerce regulation, application of digital signatures, and electronic documents. E-commerce is also an important element of ongoing trade negotiations. The development of cross-border e-commerce make it possible to increase the volume of international trade in goods and services, ensure the inflow of foreign investment, and create a platform for the development of R&D in the field of information and communication technologies. More detailed information about the e-commerce development within the EAEU will be in the next presentation of my colleague, Ilya Kabanov. And I want to tell about the digitalization of railway freight transportation in the EAEU. The EU pays special attention to the implementation of digital technologies in transportation and logistics. Digitalization of rail freight transportation among the EU member states is being implemented in accordance with the resolutions of the Eurasian Intergovernmental Council from 2021 and 2023. These documents provide step-by-step implementation measures needed for the transition to a complex paperless technology network for the transportation of goods among the EU member states, including the transition to legally binding electronic document exchange in terms of transport and shipping documents. The EU member states have provided the necessary regulatory framework for the exchange of electronic transport documents, including consignment notes during transportation between Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Russia. As of January 2020, Russian railways used in 90% of their volume only digital documents, electronic documents, and with Belarus 60%. 90% documents were transmitted with Belarus and 60% with Kazakhstan. In 2023, the level of electronic data exchange between the railways of Russia, Belarus, and Kazakhstan has reached at least 90%. Cooperation in this field and cargo transportation with third countries also worth noting. The EU member states and China are implementing digitalization of transport corridors within the plan on the development of trade and economic cooperation approved on February 2023. In 2023, the level of electronic data exchange between Kazakh railways and Chinese railways reached about 80–90%. Completeness and quality of data during electronic exchange by the end of 2023 exceeded 90% between Russian railways and China's railways. Regular consultations are being held with the Chinese side, also with Uzbekistan side. In this area, we are intensifying cooperation with Uzbekistan. Representatives of Uzbekistan regularly participate in meetings at the Eurasian Economic Commission site on digitalization of transport corridors. Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan are conducting practical work with the Republic of Uzbekistan on digitalization of freight rail transportation. Above mentioned areas and initiatives are only a small part of digitalization process in the Eurasian Economic Union that related to the international trade issues, taking into account Union's wide range regulatory areas. I hope that my presentation gave the possibility to gain a comprehensive understanding of how digital solutions are shaping the landscape of regional trade within the EU and beyond. I'd also like to invite you to explore a detailed presentation on the activities of the Directorate for Trade of the Commission. You can access it by scanning the QR code displayed on the screen or visiting our site event page. Thank you for your attention. I'd be delighted to listen to other distinguished colleagues taking part in our joint event, and we'll be ready to take part in the discussion on the transformative impact of digitalization of trade. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kennebeck. Actually, I do have a lot of questions now, but I think we'll leave it till the very end. And I would also like to encourage our online participants, if you have any questions, please leave them on the YouTube chat here. But and we will we will leave the link in the comment section of the YouTube as well. But in the meantime, can we please have a word from Mr. Dmitry Mariasyan, I apologize, the Deputy Executive Secretary of the UN Economic Commission for Europe, please.
Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to address you on behalf of UNECE, and I'd like to start by thanking the Eurasian Economic Commission and UNESCAP for convening this important conversation. Indeed, just based on the presentation that we heard up until now, I think there is a lot of scope for collaboration, coordination, joining forces. And I'm very pleased to report to you that, similar to ESCAP, UNECE is very happy to be a strategic partner to the Eurasian Economic Commission. In fact, just a few weeks ago, we were very pleased to welcome Mr. Slepnev, who spoke at the opening in Geneva. We had a really good conversation with him and have agreed on a new biennial plan of cooperation with the EEC. Now, the need for cooperation is obvious, and I think it would be almost unnecessary for me to reiterate it, but I still will. First, regional integration does not happen on paper. It happens in real life when economic agents see, trade regimes as facilitating real activity, and they start working together in single space. So there is always a gap between agreeing on a legal treaty, legally binding treaty, and then having action and having goods and services move across borders seamlessly. But that is not enough, because we've seen, and the pandemic has really highlighted the need to not just create legal spaces that then make business sense, but then to make sure that these spaces are competitive. And competitiveness in today's global economy, to a great degree, rests upon the ability to utilize digital as a solution, as a way to speed up things, as a way to facilitate things, and as a way to reduce corruption risks, as well as other inefficiencies. That's why I think the leadership of both ESCAP and the Eurasian Economic Commission on the topic of digitalization of trade is laudable, and we as UNECE would be very happy to join this alliance and make sure that we make a difference together. We go back with the Eurasian Economic Commission based on our long-standing memorandum of understanding that in fact was signed still with the Customs Union before Eurasian Union was formed, and then the success arrangements were reconfirmed in 2013. As I mentioned, we have biannual cooperation plans, and both transport and trade feature very prominently in those plans. Specifically in the area of trade facilitation, we have prioritized bringing the UN CFACT standards that we are privileged to host at UNECE to the table when discussing a new generation of standards that the Eurasian Economic Commission is developing for its members, because we fundamentally believe, and this is my first message, that instead of creating bubbles of standards and norms, we need to try to use universally agreed norms and standards, including those developed within the United Nations. And that is why, while the Eurasian Economic Commission may be tasked by its governing bodies and by the member states to develop what might look as a proprietary EEC standard, our goal is to make sure that it's actually fully compliant with the bigger UN standard. And this way, we can ensure connectivity not just within the Eurasian Union, but within the broader set of countries. And UNCFACT is one specific example of hopefully useful standards. We have launched a number of projects where UNCFACT standards were used to improve the single window implementation and data sharing practices. And I encourage the Eurasian Economic Commission to continue promoting the use of these standards. In addition, we've worked together on reducing regulatory and procedural barriers to trade in a number of EEC member states. We have completed a project focused on sustainable value chain in the Eurasian region, and there is, this is more trade policy work, less about standards, but there are some very specific areas of work on addressing a number of non-tariff barriers. And then maybe coming to the digitalization of railways, we have been very pleased to work with the Organization for Cooperation of Railways, OSGD, to use the UN EDIFACT, which is the predecessor of UNCFACT standards, by railways in both the Eurasian Economic Union and China. Now, currently, as far as I'm told by our experts, UNCFACT, OSGD, and Russian Railways experts are developing technical specifications to implement the OSGD consignment note in a manner suited for the digital era. I think you referred to this, and we are very pleased to see that the UNCFACT standards hosted by ECE are there. At the same time, and this is the brand new development, and you may get confused because of this, we're still figuring out what to do with this. Our member states have agreed on a brand new convention, which we call the Unified Railway Law. It's the Convention on the Contract for International Carriage of Goods by Rail. It was adopted and was open for accession in November 2023 by our Inland Transport Committee, the respecting working party of our Inland Transport Committee, and all member states, including the member states of the Eurasian Economic Union, are invited to sign this convention, which, and the experts will understand what it means, should act as an interface between the SMGS and COTIF regimes, which has been a missing link for many, many years and one point of contention. Was it easy to adopt this convention? No, there is a lot of politics in the background, but I think it's a really important step forward, and we hope that it will allow the full digitalization of railway transport based on real single legal regime. Now, what I'd like to pose as a question is, how does this fit with the efforts of the Eurasian Economic Commission, and whether or not we should probably organize a very focused expert dialogue between the experts of EEC, ESCAP, OSGD, and others with the team that is working on the Unified Railway Law implementation. So in summary, the initiative is extremely important. We call on the Eurasian Union as well as other key trading blocs to use the common language of UN standards and norms. We believe the future is in unified, transparent digital solutions, and we stand ready to work with you on making the best use of them in a way that really enhances trade, enhances cooperation, and thus helps countries achieve sustainable development goals. Because ultimately, trade is about more prosperity for countries, more access to services, and of course, improved regional cooperation, which eventually should enable peace in the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. In fact, the framework agreement I mentioned a bit earlier, we're all about having standards shared across rather than everybody making their own standards. Now, we've talked a lot about railways, and now we will have Mr. Dmitry Muryev, who is the General Director of the Joint Stock Company of the Russian Railways Logistics, join us online talking about digitalization of bills now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the opportunity to speak to such a distinguished audience at the site event, Digital Solutions and Opportunities in Regional Trade, the Eurasian Economic Union approach. The topic of my speech goes like these digital strategies for optimizing shipping within the Eurasian Economic Union. Russian Railways Logistics is a diversified service and logistic company with far-reaching geographical presence. It holds a leading position in the Russian 3PL service market, providing a full range of transport and logistics services for all business types. The company operates 13 branches, including one in Kazakhstan capital, 13 separate divisions in Russia, a subsidiary in China, and a joint venture in Uzbekistan. Russian Railways Logistics ships cargo across Russia, the Eurasian Economic Union, and the rest of the world, using all types of transport. Our customers are offered a wide array of services from multimodal logistics, container transport, and responsible cargo storage to the construction and modernization of in-house transport infrastructure and comprehensive logistics for large industrial holdings. The company is actively involved in developing the transport and logistics framework within the Eurasian Economic Union, as well as in providing existing services. This provides both manufacturers and consumers with new opportunities for economic cooperation. When discussing the business needs for using a consignment note as a document of title, we primarily refer to the needs of consignors and consignees, our exporters and importers, who are currently forced to find new trade contacts, build new supply chains, and enhance their competitiveness, including through increased flexibility and delivery speed. Significant progress has already been made in addressing current shipping concerns, such as the use of multimodal bills of lading as a document of title, settlement through the SWIFT payment system, and more. But the experience of the past 2 years shows that the use of such documents has not been universally adopted in all countries, and in some cases has been turned into leverage for applying economic and political pressure. Therefore, it would be reasonable to discuss the need for alternative solutions to mitigate the risk of shipping pressure or blockages. The current focus in politics and foreign trade relations calls for a conversation about optimizing shipping and developing a shipping regulation mechanism similar to the FIATA system, specifically concerning the bill of lading. The advantage of assigning the title function of multimodal logistics to a bill of lading is that it ensures optimal delivery speed and economy by reducing downtime associated with waiting for payment confirmation and speeding up the fund turnover itself. The development of such system will enhance the conditions for boosting trade turnover within Eurasian Economic Union countries. Achieving this requires the interstate nominated body responsible for developing and ensuring bills of lading, as well as performing the regulatory function. The matter of establishing this kind of seamless system, which would use a consignment note as a document of title, goes far beyond the scope of shipping alone and involves a large number of stakeholders: shippers, consignees, the general forwarders, individual service providers, the insurance business, and the banking community. After setting up an industry standard for a paper-based document of title at an initial stage, it is necessary to ensure that this document can also be digitalized in order to expedite and secure the data transfer. For instance, Russian Railways is currently handling up to 80% of its rail freight to other countries and Russian supporters, aimed at meeting the needs of foreign trade partners with electronic railway consignment notes that do not require physical copies on paper. The shift to digital technologies in the transport sector is necessary for surviving in the face of intense competition. It's becoming more and more crucial to be prepared and have the capacity for adopting new digital solutions in shipping arrangement, registration, control, and monitoring. Right now, creating an electronic document of title would be a well-timed solution for sustaining new supply chains that are emerging in response to the widespread disruption caused by the political climate. The digital infrastructure can be deployed under a smart contract, which will allow for, first, correctly transferring the goods ownership, second, eliminating distortions when sharing data among shipping participants, third, setting up common principles for all participants to confirm and store operation information. Next, improving trust among shippers and shipping participants, reducing claims, simplifying shipping through electronic documents flow, and in the future, reducing shipping costs through a digital contract regulatory base. It is important to note that considering the numerous stakeholders in a potentially large number of countries within the Eurasian Economic Union, we need coordinated changes in the national legislations for all countries that will accept the proposed Bill of Lading as a uniform shipping documents with a title function. The changes will concern laws on freight forwarding, banking, custom, railroad, and maritime transport, and digital technologies, and preparation have to be made accordingly. As a direct participants in the shipping process, including multimodal transport, Russian Railways Logistics is ready to support any initiatives in the field that the Eurasian Economic Commission may propose, and as well as actively contribute to their implementation. Thank you very much for attention.
Thank you very much for your intervention. Our next speaker is Mr. Shukrat Sabirzoda, who is the Deputy Secretary General of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization.
Recording stopped.
Maybe we can wait till the recording is back on.
Thank you very much. I would like also to appreciate organizers of this event for inviting the SU. First of all, let me convey greetings on behalf of Secretary General of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, Mr. Zhang Min, to the organizers and participants of the site event, and wish a very successful and productive outcome of our meeting. It is especially noteworthy that our event is being held within the framework of the 18th session of the UNESCAP. The session is scheduled to focus on a number of important cutting-edge areas, including digital trade. This demonstrates the existing prospects for the smartization of economic development in the future. Addressing issues related to e-commerce, which is one of the dynamically developing areas of the economy, largely determining the formation of an effective and profitable business. Today, the digital trade is gradually replacing traditional trade and growing into the realm of the real economy and becoming the most effective mechanism for redistribution of goods and services by streamlining the market forces. Dear participants, the SU attaches great importance to strengthening cooperation in the field of digital economy. In a joint community, in a joint communique adopted in October last year in Bishkek, the head of governments of the SCO member states recognized the key role of the digital economy in modernizing and developing industry, promoting inclusive economic growth and boosting national economies. The member states of the organization advocate for increased cooperation in the field of e-commerce, exchange of knowledge and experience in the use of digital technologies, consumer protection in e-commerce, and online dispute resolution. I would like also to note that the fact that during the last year's meeting of the SCO head of government in Bishkek, the concept of online meetings of buyers and sellers from the region of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization was endorsed. This concept is aimed at further deepening of cooperation between the SCO member states in the trade and economic sphere through online meetings of buyers and sellers from the SCO region, which will facilitate the establishment of direct contacts and development of ties between economic entities of the SCO member states, create a favorable climate for trade and economic cooperation, and would increase the economic potential of SCO member states. Thus, I would like to underline that in the post-pandemic era, digital trade has become a new engine of economic and trade cooperation between the regional countries, with a high degree of future prospects and development potential, making a worthy contribution to the economic growth of the country. SCO countries intend to leverage this possibility to cooperate based on geographical proximity, resources, and industrial productivity by promoting mutually beneficial and pragmatic cooperation in the field of digital trade. Speaking of geographical proximity, the cooperation between SCO Secretariat and Eurasian Economic Cooperation has been progressing steadily since the Memorandum of Understanding has been signed between our two organizations in 2021, September 17, 2021. Active cooperation has been seen from both sides in the events organized by the other side, including participation of the leadership of both organizations in the summit of each other. The current event itself is a testament to such interactions, which help our organization in understanding each other better. This dynamic is expected to strengthen with the conclusion of a plan of action for the realization of the memorandum between the SCO Secretariat and the Eurasian Economic Commission, which is currently under discussion. Dear participants, to strengthen the digital economy means to build relevant industrial structure and new models and formats which require much focus on electronics and information manufacturing, software and information services. This goes in parallel with modern finance, digital banking, logistics, trade in services, cultural tourism, and agriculture. This is where a regional organization like SCO can benefit from the UN's vast and diverse expertise. The SCO Secretariat has established formal relationship with the 8 UN entities, including the UNESCAP. This is a mutually beneficial relationship that helps the UN understand better about the issues and challenges faced by the Eurasian region. As a transregional organization, which consists of 26 countries in the SCO family, with diverse levels of economic development, the SCO plays a crucial role in bringing together these perspectives to the forefront of the global platform. In conclusion, I would like to appreciate and underscore the importance of holding such events to promote new modern avenues of economic cooperation for the future prosperity of the region. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sadezoda. And I do feel that we at the UN can work close with your organization as well in the future. Now, for our next presentation, we have Mr. Ilya Kabanov, who is the head of e-commerce and digital marketing division, Department for Non-Tariff and Tariff Customs Regulations of the EEC. Thank you.
Could you kindly open the PowerPoint, please? Okay. So advancing digitalization and enabling different digital technologies is comprehensively upgrades and raises the competitiveness and cooperation between the national economies and promotes stable development of all countries, including the EAEU member states. Now the digitalization is a fundamental part of our current reality and is the only instrument that ensures a smooth growth and of the Eurasian Economic Union economy. Three important pillars of current digitalization process in the EAEU are digital marketing and e-commerce, both intra-union and cross-border. So what is a digital marketing? It's a track and trace system of each unit of goods, which ensures the protection of citizens and diligent entrepreneurs from counterfeit of goods, and including by informing customers about the legality of the origin of products. So marking of goods allows a Eurasian Economic Union member states protects the union market from different unfair participants and ensure traceability of each unit of goods and increase the collection of tax and customs revenues. So the basic digital principles of marking by means of identification, as we name it, in the Union app, use of the unique machine-readable code for each item. You can see it's in the upper right part of the screen. It's a data metrics code. You can check it. So it's about any good. So the second principle is the use of digital systems and databases. And the third principle is interaction of national and integrational digital systems. So think about a legal basis. The countries of Union signed an agreement on digital marketing in the year 2018, and which subsequently became the framework for the introduction of this kind of track and trace ability in the territory of the whole Union. Now the Commission adopted 11 decisions. So according to which member states, as soon as they are ready, can introduce marking according to the common rules that are established on the Eurasian Economic Commission level. So these goods fall under shoes, light industry products, water, perfumes, tires, photo cameras, dairy products, packaging, drinking water, non-alcoholic beverage and juices, notebooks, mobile phones, pharma, and electronic cigarettes. So actual work is for elaboration of the next step, the marking is dietary supplements, medical devices, caviar, bicycles, and wheelchairs. So as you can see, we are on the step-by-step basis. We upscale the number of categories with digital marketing to all to cover the whole FMCG market in the Union. How it is working? It's quite simple and based on two main rules. Movement of goods, it is accompanied by movement of data, and at each moment of time, each unit can be checked. So in the factory that is established on the Eurasian Economic Union territory or in customs border, for customs warehouses, if these goods are imported, goods are marked and information about each unit is placed into the informational system. Then in each stop of transfer during logistics process, info about goods is updated. In the retail store, product is placed on a shelf into internal inner retail shop information system. So, for example, using marking system, retail can own real-time control the expiration date of goods, for example, for dietary products. So when the product is purchased, It is withdrawn from circulation, but its info cannot be updated, so it's out. But all records are in the system and can be checked in case of some investigations or other cases. So the next step for market. As a digital market is an integral part of the digital economy that gives an opportunity to see turnover of goods on the real-time basis. The future step is to enable the interconnection between different information systems. For example, the marketing system can be linked with agricultural, tracing and control, technical regulation, taxes system. All this will make Eurasian Economic Union economy more transparent and more predictable. The other pillar for digitalization is e-commerce. That is transforming the Eurasian Economic Union union market in a fast pace. So the e-commerce market in the EU had become more complicated over the past few years. During the COVID pandemic, if earlier the main players were internet shops or large retailers with the websites, now the bulk of trades go through the different marketplaces, especially trade for the entire Eurasian Economic Union. In member states, the share of e-commerce in the whole retail, it varies from 2% to 16%. Which directly relates to the start of active online trading. At the same time, if you take the segment of non-food retail, these numbers can be two times higher. For example, Russian Federation is 30%. In this sphere, we have two parallel tracks for cross-border and intra-union e-commerce. Regarding the cross-border, we have made huge step and with signing of a package of amendments to the customs code. So this amendments are about that all e-commerce is allocated to a separate category with specialized regulation, special institution of e-commerce operator, and new customs declaration and customs duty rate. So on the one hand, this is streamlines the incoming flow of parcels from foreign internet shops, and on the other hand, simplifies the interaction between consumers, logistics, authorized bodies. For example, if the sale of e-commerce goods on electronic trading platforms provides the possibility of the return after purchase, the e-commerce operator can do this without using a declaration. Quite important that the main idea of new customs code is the all document flow and interaction realized behind the screen. So the purchase on the marketplace, electronic data interchange between a marketplace and seller, shipping by e-commerce operator, and customs clearance, all paperless. This substantially reduces costs and they minimize the environmental footprint. So about the intra-union e-commerce, so we have now work on the agreement on electronic commerce that is going to solve some issues. The first issue is that we have various regulatory norms and jurisdictions of e-commerce, and in fact, only national regulations currently applied to e-commerce. This is the main risk arise. So because in one transaction we can have 3 or more participants from different union states. So they have different jurisdictions because there can be a sharp change in the national legislation. So it's a risks for creating favorable conditions for development of e-commerce. So therefore, our future agreement can determine the specifics of this market of e-commerce in Eurasian Economic Union and establish necessary regulatory ideas for the harmonization and stabilization of existing regulation. Thank you. So the second, so it will cover not only material goods, but also digital goods like software or films or music, and all provisions of Eurasian Economic Union Treaty the next slide, please. And the full single market provision on goods that are in the Eurasian Economic Union Treaty will cover to this digital and material goods. So the next idea is the protection of the consumer rights. Of course, it is very important, and there is such consumer rights should be protected under the national law, but for creating more favorable conditions, because in that case, that the marketplace should fall under. Okay. So fall under the 5 laws or the number of the Eurasian Economic Union member states. So we are ready to create some common rules for example, for communicating composition of mandatory information provided or when the product is offered for sale, like a public offer. The requirements for informing the consumer about the progress of the order, returning of goods, refunds, dispute resolution, and so on and so forth. So the third issue is the data turnover. Data in e-commerce is one of the main pillars of the market, and who controls the data controls the economy. So the mandate is that the turnover data should be non-discriminating. So we have some localization issues, but this localization should be the non-discriminatory treatment idea. Regarding the digital payment support, so the consumers now have ability to use both international and national digital payment systems, but it's quite limited. And additional, without the opportunity to pay online, in the Eurasian Economic Union, there is no e-commerce because the cash on delivery issue is technically not feasible. Therefore, we propose to provide the possibility to the marketplaces to use non-cash payment of the order and use all digital national payment systems that exist in the Eurasian Economic Union member states. Regarding electronic documents, market participants note the difficulties of complex use of electronic documents within their activities. This situation is connected both with different types of transport or commercial documents existing in each Eurasian Economic Union member states, and with a lack of legal possibility of their application on the cross-border. So it's very hard to create some common documents or form or format because it will create a risk of a total recast of national and private electronic data interchange systems. So this will require a vast amount of investments. Therefore, there is a kind of solution based on a pilot project that exists now between Russian Federation and Republic of Belarus. Forms and format of transport or consignment documents, invoices are not important and have a supplementary role. The information, the data set and its validity is a primary thing. So we will plan to create a model for electronic data interchange that will include business, public authorities, national EDI providers, and third trusted party. Third trusted party is organizations that will verify the data signed by e-signature and transfer from business where EDI providers to public authorities was not changed, it is valid. It's like electronic notaryship. And for facilitation of this process, also will be established, can be established a common data set based on the actual Eurasian Economic Union member states legislation, which in some cases can be for 80 to 90% equal. Finalizing, we are of course open to share our experience and technical solutions that we have on the digital trade and the digitalization of trade regarding the fact that facilitation and the transparency of cross-border trades is crucial for economic growth in all Eurasian and Asia Pacific region. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klanov, for sharing the best practices, but also highlighting the many challenges that remain to be tackled. Our next speaker join us online is Ms. Yanying Li. She is the legal officer of the United Nations Commission on International Trade Law. Please.
Good afternoon, distinguished participants. Now I have the slides on the screen. Many thanks to EEC and ESCAP for this opportunity. Greetings from Vienna. And for those of you who may not know UNCITRAL is a subsidiary organ of the General Assembly established in 1966 to further the progressive harmonization and modernization of the law of international trade. UNCITRAL prepares and adopts legislative and non-legislative instruments in key areas of international trade law. These instruments are negotiated through an international process involving a variety of participants, including all UN member states, invited IGOs and NGOs. And today I would like to briefly introduce, I know I only have very few minutes, of our current project on negotiable cargo documents and negotiable electronic cargo records, and their new opportunities to facilitate regional trade and complementary to EAEU's efforts in the area of rail freight transportation. At the annual session of UNCITRAL in 2019, China presented a proposal on possible future work towards the development of a negotiable transport document to facilitate carriage of goods, particularly by railway in the Eurasian space. The proposal indicated that, unlike the Maritime Bill of Lading, the Railway Consignment Note did not serve as a document of title and could not be used for the settlement and financing of letters of credit. Letters of credit are particularly important for trading partners that do not yet know each other. For example, I recently established a new company in China that wishes to import agricultural products from you, a company in Bangkok. And since my company is newly established and we do not yet know each other, you probably do not want to put products on the train until I make some payment. And from my side, I do not want to pay so early as I'm not sure whether I will receive the goods. Now I will go to my bank in China to ask for a letter of credit, which is essentially a guarantee to you that my bank will pay you the full amount as long as you present certain documents, no other conditions. This is known as payment against a document. Banks in China and probably all banks in the world prefer a Maritime Bill of Lading because it is a document of title. Banks can take security of it. In case the buyer becomes insolvent, bank can sell the goods and recover the costs. On the other hand, railway consignment notes are not documents of title, just receipts. Holding a receipt does not give banks the right to exercise control over the goods. And our project will upgrade railway consignment notes into negotiable cargo documents, which will function like Maritime Bills of Lading. And such negotiable cargo documents are also demanded by commodity traders, as it allows them to buy and sell goods while in transit. Negotiable cargo document will exist in digital form, known as negotiable electronic cargo record. On this slide, you can see that Asia is the region with the highest volumes for letters of credit, both export and import. In 2019, the Commission considered the proposal had significant practical significance for world trade, in particular for the economic growth of developing countries. The Commission requested the Secretariat to start exploratory and preparatory work. The project was assigned to a working group for interstate negotiation in summer 2022. And since then, 3 working group sessions have taken place in New York and Vienna. The current scope of the project is very broad. It applies to any mode of transport in a multimodal or unimodal context. It could cover the Fiat and multimodal bill of lading mentioned by Mr. Murek earlier in this panel. And the 2 key aspects of the project are 1, negotiability, for trade and finance facilitation. And second, digitalization. On digitalization, we are working very closely with the colleagues from UNCITRAL as they are developing common standards in the different multimodal and also different mode of transport. The project involves a lot of key stakeholders. Issuers can be the freight forwarders, rail carriers, road carriers, or air carriers. Issuers will issue negotiable cargo documents only at the request of the consignor, the shipper, and the consignor may request the issuance of such documents because its banks ask for it for letters of credit, or its first buyer, commodity trader, who ask for it because they would like the opportunity to buy and sell goods while in transit. Insurance companies are also relevant because the insurance coverage and premium may be adjusted in light of the issuance of negotiable cargo documents. The next working group session is scheduled to take place in New York from 6th to 10th of May, and the working group will focus on the draft provisions on a legal framework for the recognition and use of the negotiable electronic cargo records. So this would be the electronic provisions. And the current draft provisions are largely based on the UNCITRAL model law on electronic transferable records and the model law on the use and cross-border recognition of identity management and trust services, which I will very briefly mention both of them. Adopted in 2017, the model law on electronic transfer records has become the new buzzword after COVID. It applies to electronic transfer records that are functional equivalent to transferable documents and could include bills of lading, bills of exchange, promissory notes, and warehouse receipts. And the model law on the use and cross-border recognition of identity management and trust services was adopted more recently in 2022. It provides a set of model legislative provisions that legally enable the use of identity management services for online identification of physical and legal persons, as well as the use of trust services to provide assurances as to the quality of data in electronic form. Last but not least, our working group session is a global lawmaking forum for states to come together to prepare legislative and non-legislative instruments in key areas of international trade law. Interested IGOs and NGOs with relevant experience and expertise can also participate in our sessions as observers. So please do get in touch if you're interested in getting involved in the project. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lee. Yes, this model certainly holds a lot of promise, and we're interesting to see where it goes. Our next speaker here is my colleague Uitada from Trade Investment and Innovation Division, and she will be talking about the highlights of the report that we published just last year on digital trade. Please.
Thank you very much for the kind introductions. For the benefit of time, let me skip some of my slides. That is from the main computer. Okay. No. I'm sharing my screen, but yeah, but it doesn't work. It doesn't move on. Okay, let's go back to the main computer then, because when I share my screen here, let me try again. Yeah. Okay. So good. Sorry for the hiccups. Basically, the presentations today have two key messages. First, I would like to highlight that regulatory cooperation has become the important part of regional integration and digital transformation. And to do regulatory cooperations, we need to have the comprehensive digital trade policy review to assess the gaps not only between EAEU countries, but also with non-EAEU, including key digital trade partners. And with that priority, ESCAP has done significant work towards digital trade policy review, which is complement to our already the flagships of digital trade facilitation survey that my colleagues here has been operate for several years. We have been expand the scope of our work into broader digital trade policy area. And actually we work together with key partners in academic sectors, as well as UN regional commissions in Africa and Latin America. So we developed what called regional digital trade integration framework, which highlights in a systematic way 12 policy areas matter for digital trade. We call it RDTI indicators from now, and it has a comprehensive database that open for public to access the informations of 12 policy evaluations, including go into this detailed indicators behind those 12 policy areas. Right now for North and Central Asian countries, we already established comprehensive data for Kazakhstan and Russian federations, and we are in the process of adding Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan into our comprehensive database. So we would be happy to collaborate with EECs and other governments to help us verifying the informations, as well as to communicate initiate policy dialogues based on the information that we provide. This is the examples of information that you will be able to compare when you access the platforms. Apart from comparing between EAEU countries and other North and Central Asian countries, you will be able to compare across key countries in Asia Pacific in 12 policy pillars, which in terms of the brief findings, I would like to give examples that we found for the group of EAEU and non-EAEU member in North and Central Asia. The index highlights that there is notable compliance costs, which is the issues that might interrupt digital trade integrations of the North and Central Asian countries. Compare between group of EAEU member states and non-EAEU member states in Central Asia. EAEU member states has advantage from the mechanisms to bring down tariff and create uniform non-tariff measures, including transparency mechanisms such as allowing foreign business to participate in standard setting bodies. But we also detect that both groups still have regulatory complexity related to competition in telecom sectors, which is matter for digital adoptions and digital connectivities, issues of state-owned enterprise, domestic preference, especially in public procurement, extensive internet surveillance, and unilateral issues and restrictions related to non-tariff measures. This is the examples of information that we provide in the database. I select only the pillars that look into e-commerce areas. In e-commerce, the color in red is highlight areas where opportunities for regulatory cooperation need to be prioritized, which in the groups of EAU and also non-EAU, both are very late on the last three columns, which is about absence of treaties or using of same language based on model laws, which is reiterate many speakers before me on these issues. And this part is highlighting the potential of regulatory diversity between the groups of countries that we highlight. There is common good news between EAU and non-EAU groups in Central Asia. For example, there is the presence of legal frameworks on online consumer protections in all countries that we observe. But some differentiations in the regions, for example, in online payment systems. High restrictions on online payments is detected in Kazakhstan and Russian federations, as well as Turkmenistan. One approach to sort out this complexity is through regulatory collaboration, which nowadays is moved into the domain of trade negotiations. The messy pictures here with a lot of lines. The purple lines is the trade agreements that have digital trade provision. So it's supposed to be a venue for stimulate corporations on digital trade rules. If you have good eyes or seeing my screen later on, you will see that many EAEU countries are on the left part, bottom left part of the figures, which have some link through digital trade provisions with non-EAEU parties. So that is a good thing. But relative to East Asia, where there is a dense of the purple lines, this is still in a different level. More concerning is non-EAU countries, where they are totally excluded from the dynamics of having opportunities to collaborate on digital trade rules through trade agreements. Absolutely no purple lines connecting non-EAU with the rest of the regions. Same on e-commerce is the importance of facilitating cross-border e-commerce through cross-border paperless trade. In these figures, we are based on UNTF surveys, which we select EAEU and North Central Asian member state of ESCAP to present in this graph. The survey has highlighted good news of high implementation rates in North and Central Asia, and that is higher than Asia Pacific average. The progress is also impressive, especially in response to COVID. However, many of the progress is based on national efforts. When we look into cross-border paperless trade implementation, there is still room to improve further. And this is not surprising because implementing cross-border paperless trade not only require national efforts, but also require readiness of the trade partners as well. Mechanisms like mutual recognitions or legal arrangement to achieve cross-border electronics data exchange has to be established, which is still a challenge given the lack of cooperation and intergovernmental coordination mechanisms. So it is highly encouraged for countries to join the framework agreements on facilitations of cross-border paperless trade in Asia Pacific to further facilitate electronic exchange of trade-related documents. Coming to the last slide, I would like to reiterate that it is important for collaborations to review and reform digital trade regulations. This is important because it would enhance competition in digital sectors. Reform regulations would require simplified regulatory requirements that are burdensome for business. It needs to review regulation affecting digital trade and e-commerce by ensuring that they align with international standard and practice guided by multilateral and regional trade agreements. Countries are recommended to leverage existing international agreements and international standards to further stimulate regional digital trade cooperation, including strengthening implementation of CPTA and utilizing of model laws language. In participation in trade agreements is useful, especially for the agreements that cover capacity building mechanisms to enhance the implementation capacity of the member states. For more information related to the presentations and our initiatives, we provide the QR as reflect on the screen, and I believe that the slide will be shared. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that. That report and that analysis has taken a big team of many months to do, so I encourage you to be familiar with it. Our last speaker for today is Mr. Dmitry Temev from the company called Contour. It's a software product ecosystem used by 2.2 million companies in Russia and abroad. Please.
Right. I'm glad to be here today. Thank you for the invitation. It looks like I'm the only representative of the commercial organization today, but fear you not, I'm not going to sell anything today. I just wanted to share some vision and experience of Contour company in the way of the international cross-border document and data interchange. So just a couple of words about the company for the people who are not familiar with. We are 35 years on the market. We are about 12,000 people throughout Russia. And we are the #1 operator of the EDI in the Russian Federation. I wanted to highlight that's not our marketing saying, that's the Federal Tax Service of the Russian Federation is saying. So I may say that we are just one of the pillars that the digital economy is based on. So quick overview of what we are doing as an operator, and we are as set leader inside the Russian Federation, but we are now looking to extend our services to the other countries, and our approach is not selling any kind of our own software to the partners in the another parts of the world, but what we wish to do is to connect our own, excuse me, I had no camera connect our own software to the respectful software that is being widely and broadly used in the country of where our partners and the partners of our companies here are being connected to simplify the flow of the documents, and that is why so we are going to simplify and ensure that all documents are being legally got legal significance on both in Russian Federation and on the third country also. So that's our approach. We started to work in this direction, right? So we are looking for the partners in BRICS countries. We are looking for the partners in SCO countries. We are looking for the partners in Asia Pacific region also. Briefly about the case. So we already started the paperless workflow between Russia and People's Republic of China. So in the Russian Federation, for our own customers, we're providing our services inside our own EDI service, which is Contour Diadoc, and the company in China may sign the document via the Letter-Sign service. And this is being guaranteed by the so-called trusted third party, which is being checking the significance and the legal applicability of the electronic signature, both for the Russian and for the Chinese company. And this service to the GIS is being provided by Chinese operator Sheka. So here is a list of the types of documents that we are supporting at the moment, and as said, we are looking forward to extend the service to the other countries also, and I was quick as I promised.
That was very, very quick. If you know, your cross-border data exchange is as quick as this, you have us sold. Okay. So I know we're a little bit late, but I wanted to give an opportunity here if there's any questions to the speakers online. I'm sorry you've lost your chance. I warned you. So please, anyone? Please.
Hi, I just have one very quick question to Mr. Kanibek, I think. Yes, on the EODS, EODS, I think. I don't know how you call it, the certificate of origin exchange mechanism, right? Is it operational with countries outside the EAEU members, like with Vietnam and Indonesia, or when will it be operational?
This EU CVS is for electronic certification exchange with those countries which who we already signed FTA. So we have an FTA with Vietnam, so we signed the separate document called protocol in order to use this EU CVS. Also with other countries with whom we have an FTA, we'll sign other document protocol and start to exchange these certificates of origins.
Okay, thank you very much. I forgot to introduce myself. I'm the Chief of Trade Policy and Facilitation at the ESCAP. And so we are very interested in learning more on how you actually develop the system and what the content of the protocol you signed with the countries that can be used as a reference. Thank you.
It's a technical side of the exchange we'll share. So I also said that the QR code will be on the screen, but our colleagues couldn't do it. So please, can you screen the QR code in order to present our colleagues what we do and how to contact with us?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, please.
Hello, I don't have any question, but I would like to thank to EEC and the organizers. I'm from SICA Secretariat, expert in environmental dimension. I have a very short, if I may, like 30 seconds maybe. During the 6th SICA summit in Astana, a memorandum of understanding was signed between SICA and EEC, which was EEC became the 6th partner organization of SICA, and this partnership identified areas of collaboration such as economic integration, transportation, and such kind of digitalization, which is actually related to the today's sidelines topic. Also, Kazakh chairmanship has an initiation, which is SICA's Council on Sustainable Connectivity to enhance regional transportation. So we are very ready to make our cooperation essential for the Asia's economic growth, I think.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? If not, let me summarize all the presentations in one sentence. Digitalization is good, but it's hard. There's a lot of work to do. And thank you, EEC, for coming here and sharing your examples. We will be in touch and obviously working together on this because this is a very interesting topic to us. So once again, thank you very much. Let's give applause of the remaining participants here, and thank you so much.